Hey, what's going on, guys? It's Hanson. So we're back with another video, and what I want to do is I want to take a step back and just kind of like show you guys how to put everything together, everything that we've learned, and let's actually build a simple application. We're going to be building a very simple guessing game where every single time we're going to enter in a number, and we're going to just generate a random number and compare those two numbers. And now, if those two numbers are equal, that means that they guessed correctly. Okay, now to do this, we're actually going to use a third-party library called rand, and it's basically just an API that allows us to generate random numbers. Okay, it's also known as a library. Okay, you can use those terminologies interchangeably. What we have to do is we need to actually download this library from crates.io. Now, we don't actually manually download it from this website. What we do is inside our project. So let me actually create a new project. Let's just call this Rust guessing game. Oh, whoops, cargo new Rust guessing game. Okay, and let's cd into Rust guessing game now. And let's open up Visual Studio Code. Inside our workspace, you can see right over here we have this .toml file. And right underneath dependencies, what we're going to do is we're going to list the dependency the way it's listed over here on the website. Okay, so crates.io is basically the website that has all of the dependencies that we can download for our project. Basically, this is someone else's pre-written code. They wrote the code already, and we can download it and use it to build out our application without having to worry about rewriting everything that we're going to use later at some point. In the future, when you actually get to more advanced stuff, you're going to be pulling these third-party libraries and using it in your applications. So we're going to save, and what we're going to do is we're going to now type cargo build. Now you're going to see, oh, whoops. Oh, I think I accidentally, let me leave that like that. Okay, there we go. So now you're going to see it's saying updating crates.io index, compiling, and it's compiling rand version 0.7.3. So it's basically downloading the crate. Okay, which is just another name for library, package, all of these things. If you come from another programming language or another environment like Node.js, okay, Node.js, they call them NPM packages. Okay, here we call them crates. Very creative stuff. Okay, so now we can actually use this library. So we're going to go inside the main.rs file, and I'm simply just going to import the rand library now. So we do it the same way that we imported the standard input-output library, like we did when in our reading input tutorial. So we're going to go ahead and use the use keyword rand, and these two colons, this basically means namespacing a function from this rand library. So we're going to type prelude and then import every single function. You can see that we have a bunch of different functions and structures that we can use, a bunch of different stuff that we can play around with. Okay, but what we want to do is we're going to import everything. So now right over here, let's just get rid of this. And let's just declare a variable. Let's just call this number. And let's give it a type of an unsigned integer and size 32. And if I call random, okay, this is going to just generate a random number. Okay, it generates a random value using the thread local random number generator. And let's actually just print out this value just to see what this value could look like. Okay, so now if we try to actually compile this using Rust C, you're going to see that we're actually going to get an error, and it's going to say cannot find function random in the scope. The reason why this is happening is actually since we're using an external library, okay, this is not part of the core Rust language. So what we need to do is we need to use the cargo command, and we can just specify the run flag, and this is just going to compile and run it at the same time. Okay, so if you're using external libraries, you must use cargo command along with the run flag in order to actually execute your code. And you can see we have a random number. So if I try to do this again, we're going to get a different number every single time. Let's change up the size a little bit. Let's maybe go down to 16 bits. So unsigned integer 16 bits. So we're never going to get a negative number. Okay, we can even go smaller. Let's do 8 bits. There we go, very simple stuff. And we can also generate random numbers from a certain range. So to do that, we can go ahead and first declare a mutable variable called RNG. And we're going to invoke the thread RNG function. This is from the random library, okay? And you can read a little bit about it. But then what we're going to do is we're simply just going to go ahead and reference RNG.gen range, and we're going to pass in a lower bound, so the smallest number to be generated, and then the number to generate up to, so 11. So this is going to generate a random number from 1 to 10, but not including 11. So let's just call this random num. Okay, and then let's print this out. And if we were to run, you can see it says 10, 4, 9, 5, 8, 4, 5, 1, 2, 10. So this generates minimum of 1, okay, all the way up to 11. So it doesn't actually include 11. So the largest number generated would be 10. So let's actually put everything together that we learned here and just actually implement what we want to actually implement. So we need keyboard input. So we're going to go ahead and import the IO library. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and just type a simple message, and we're going to say, please enter a number. And first we need to actually declare a mutable variable. So let's do let mut input equals, and let's reference string. So this is going to create a new empty string for us. Now we're going to reference IO and call standard input. And we're going to call read underscore line. And we're going to pass in ampersand mut input. So this is going to allow us to take in the user's response and store it in the input variable. And of course we need to call expect because something might go wrong. So something went wrong. So the next thing we want to do is we want to convert the string that the user entered in. Okay, we want to make sure that we have the correct data type. So to do that, we're simply just going to declare a new variable. Let's call it number, or let's just call it a guessed, so the user's guess, and we'll just give it a size of unsigned 16. And from here we're going to reference input dot trim, and we're going to call parse, and then we'll call expect if something goes wrong. So something went wrong. So now from here we have successfully converted our string representation of our number into an actual integer. And then now we're going to go ahead and just simply say println you entered, just let them know what they entered in, and then print that out. And now we're going to generate the random number. Okay, and we should actually say please generate a number between, let's just say 1 to 100. And then now we're going to want to generate that random number from 1 to 100. So we're going to do let mut rng equals thread rng. And then to actually generate the random number, let's do let random num equals rng, call the genRange function. And we're going to do from 1 up to 101. We could also just do 0 to 100 and then add 1 at the end. This will generate a random number between 0 all the way up to 99, and then we're just adding 1 to this generated value. This is a very common approach, but again, you can just easily just do generate 1 to 101, and that would give you what you want. Okay, but let's go ahead and continue. So let's do this. If guess, so we need to make sure we are checking to see if the user's number that they entered is the same as the random number that was generated. So we're going to compare using the double equals sign. So that's the comparison operator. We're going to check to see if it's equal to random num. And if it is, we're just simply going to say you guessed correctly. The number was, and we'll just print out random num. Nothing too crazy. And we'll just say else print line you did not guess correctly. Okay, let's do smaller input so we can test it easier. So let's do 1 to 10 instead. So now let's compile our code. So everything went well. So let's type 5. So you did not guess correctly. Let's type 9. You did not guess correctly. Let me actually do this. If they didn't guess correctly, let's just say the number was, and we can go ahead and print that out as well. So let's type 9. So you did not guess correctly, the number was 3. Let's type 5. So the number was actually 2. Let's type 5 again. The number was 2. 3. Nope. Nope. Let's try to get it this time. Okay, there we go. So we entered 5, and it says you guessed correctly, the number was 5. There we go. So that's a very simple guessing game. And that pretty much just takes everything that we've learned and putting it into just a simple project just like this. But if you're new to this, being able to do something small like this is the start to actually building out something more complicated in the future. So don't overlook this at all. So we've pretty much combined the usage of mutable variables, the usage of reading keyboard input. We also learned something new, which was generating random numbers using an external library that we downloaded. Okay, and then we also used a condition to check to see if those two numbers matched, and if they matched, then we just said you guessed correctly and we told them what the number was. And if the number was not correct, we just printed out you did not guess correctly and we told them what the actual random number was. Okay, so hopefully all this made sense. Again, I just want to take a step back before going any further into more complicated concepts and making sure that we do something simple like this so you understand what's going on. So that's pretty much it for this video, and I'll see you guys in my next one. Peace.